Just want to remind you guys, this episode is presented by Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use the code JUICE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup.
What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Guys, we put out a video yesterday talking about Anthony Richardson and the new development on his injury. Stated originally that there was no timetable for his return and that they had it to where he's just going to be out for a little bit, and that there was a re-aggravation of the shoulder injury. And then now come find out later, originally they just said it was an aggravation of the AC joint. And that's all they gave us. They said no timeline. We hope he'll be back sometime during training camp. Now, 24 hours later, less than, we're getting reports that now the Anthony Richardson injury is actually just a re-aggravation of the AC joint that he had surgery on. And actually, they said that it was just inflammation that basically just needed rest. They said that Richardson honestly might have overdid it on his shoulder a little bit this offseason. They said that he's been throwing a lot of footballs. They said actually he's been at times throwing hundreds of footballs every single day when he was doing his training during the off season. So they think that ultimately this resulted in some inflammation in the shoulder and that he needs rest. Now, he definitely will be missing mini camp this next week, but new reports are now is that he should be full ready to go by the start of training camp. Originally, Cody, the thing was we're hoping to get him back sometime during training camp. Now it's okay, he's actually going to be, good to go, and that, he should be fine, ready for training camp. May miss a day or two, whatever, it doesn't matter, but right around the start of training camp, he should be good to go. And Cody, I'll be honest, man. We'll bring this up before we actually start talking about the injury thing here. First things first, why is Steichen the absolute worst person to get any information out of? You're telling me that 8 hours after you put this out, because you're the guy that these medical doctors go to tell their information that they find out about these players. And then you're telling me 8 hours after you put out a statement saying, we don't know when he's coming back. We're hoping he's going to be ready for training camp. We're going to be optimistic, but we're not sure. And then 8 hours later, people are saying, oh no, he's actually going to be fine. He just has inflammation and that, it's going to be okay. He'll be ready for training camp. Why is he why are we able to get answers from everyone else except Shane Steichen?
I don't know what the deal is, but Steichen is the worst at this. It's almost to the point where you can't take what he says 100% accurate, which is just unfortunate. It's how do you miss this so bad? And how, the communication, starting from last year, Derek, with obviously we know all the stuff with the benching. From there on, it's been more and more obvious that it seems for some reason around Anthony Richardson specifically, it's just been really poor. The communication has just not been where it needs to be, right? Because think about that. When you say things like that, when you say hopefully by sometime during training camp, that can be literally any time. And that opens up a can of worms a lot of people thought, and we thought, when you hear that, oh boy, is he even going to be at training camp? Is he even going to be ready for the start of the season? If you don't know, don't leave it so open-ended, I feel at least say, we're not 100% sure where he's at yet. This is kind of what we're thinking. I don't know, just be a little bit more tactful. You don't need to leave it so open-ended, because that's the same thing that he did with the whole Anthony Richardson and the benching thing, right? Was There was so much that probably should have been communicated that wasn't. And it just let all these narratives run insanely wild to where we don't know what is actually the truth. Like, we just had no idea. And it turned out it was honestly not all what he said or what was necessarily communicated.
It's like these blanket statements, it's just like you leave the fans to wonder about Anthony Richardson. And it's like, you don't have his back when it comes to saying things like this. You're just throwing him out to the wolves, and you're saying, like, there are sometimes injuries, guys, that happens and you don't know a timeline. Like, you get a serious injury and then you're like, well, we have a timeline, but we're still not sure. But like, I mean, again, it's just the unwillingness to share any kind of update or any kind of speculative information that you have. And then, to make it about that, and then just to not, tell people what you know or what you think it's just, it's ridiculous. Because like you said, there were people that were literally saying, oh, this could mean Anthony Richardson may not play at all this year. Like, you had people questioning whether or not this was like going to be something that he would never come back from. And that's the problem. Like, you're always going to have people that overreact to injury, stuff like that. But all of Colts Nation was like, well, there's the downfall. That's it. Anthony Richardson's done. So
because
all
it was
you did was make it even harder.
It was communicated like that. Like, oh, it was just so communicated in a way where you're going to form narratives, whatever. But Derek, as the leader of that football team, with the information you have the opportunity to control that narrative a little bit. Yeah. But he doesn't. He doesn't control the narrative. He just, like you said, he puts out these blanket statements, and you can take it 100 different ways. If you're the head coach of a football team, you got to communicate those things to the point where, the actual truth, when it comes out, it's not like what it's been, So it just bothers me how he approaches the media and how he approaches updates. It's just so frustrating because it's not necessarily inaccurate, but it's not doing his players, if it's Anthony Richardson, if it's whoever, it's just not doing his players any favors at all, especially because very well the narrative around Richardson. The whole thing about the injury. So I don't get it. I just don't understand the approach there. It's just been, and it's not been the first time, which is unfortunate. So just the PR stuff has been a nightmare for Shane Steichen. I was hoping he would figure that out this offseason, but apparently at this point, still hasn't quite figured it out. So I don't know. It's just weird. Like, how do you go from DEFCON 3 to, oh, okay, never mind. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like,
it's not even the fact that it's not even the fact that like it'd be different if it was the fact that you found that out and then maybe a few weeks down the road you realize, oh, it's actually not that bad. Like, it'll be okay. He put out that statement, and then literally sources were saying 8 hours later that this is how it actually is. And it's like, nothing changed in that 8 hours. Yet somehow, some way, Steichen couldn't have said that. Steichen said, oh, yeah, it's some inflammation in the shoulder. We knew that this would happen because, he's been going hard this offseason. So he needed to take a step back. And, we know he's going to miss minicamp. We fully expect him to, hopefully be ready by around the start of training camp. That would have made people feel a whole heck of a lot better. Sure, it's still going to have the injury that we're obviously about to talk about, but at least we could have had a better understanding of where that stood versus allowing people to speculate that Anthony Richardson could miss an indefinite amount of time again, and we have no idea.
I even saw on, I think it was ESPN, they use the word indefinitely, which is not a good word. Like, that means it could be, it
could be months.
A day into training camp. It could be at the end of training camp. It could be later than that. Like, it's just so broad, and it's like, I don't know, like, if you have, like you said, like, if it was a couple weeks down the road and you found out, oh, it's actually not as bad as we thought, okay, like, I understand that. But it's literally not even 24 hours after the fact that it's basically in complete contrary to what Shane Steichen said. I just the PR stuff it's just been poor, really poor by Shane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's whatever, man. It sucks, but we move on. We just try to, get better at it. And obviously, we now know the news. And no, this is not just some random person saying this. Jeremy Fowler and a few other guys are breaking this news that about this injury update for him. So if you guys don't believe us, you can believe the national media people that are saying this. Cody, obviously, on the one hand, this is really good information to know that Anthony Richardson, give him, a month and a half to, be able to relax and, just kind of get the shoulder to not be as inflamed anymore. At that point, it feels a little bit better knowing that he's still going to have a chance to compete for that quarterback one spot in training camp. But, I mean, this definitely is still a concern that we're back here again, right? When it comes to this quarterback in this situation, it sucks because it's like we can never have a time where this guy just is 100% all at all times. I know that the guy who did the surgery said that this could happen from time to time, especially if he pushes it. But I mean, Cody, I was under the impression that this was not going to really be a thing anymore. But the fact that it is happening, one, shows me that the Colts are not keeping tabs on Anthony Richardson and his workload. Secondly, the fact that his workload needs managed off the back of this makes me concerned about the idea that, this could have implications against him in the future if we're finding out that this is a nagging injury.
Yeah, the throwing shoulder too. Like this isn't just a off shoulder. Like it is a concern, dude. It is, and I've had my concerns. That's been the biggest thing. I mean, heck, Chris Ballard himself has said it, right? Like AR has not shown that he can play in 17 games. I mean, if it's not one thing, it's another, Derek. If it's not the shoulder, it's the back. If it's not the back, it's something else. It's just a continual thing with AR. Now, I am glad, like you said, that it's not as serious of an injury, but I struggle, Derek, because it's like, it's just a continual thing. There's always something that's bothering Richardson. There's always some sort of injury that he's dealing with that keeps him out of practice or keeps him out of games. And when you're in a quarterback competition like this, Derek, I mean, you need every single rep you can get. I mean, let's talk about it. Like, Daniel Jones has the advantage right now because he's going to be in minicamp. He's going to have a little bit more time. I mean, what's been the biggest thing we said with Richardson was just he needs reps. Well, the fact is he hasn't been available enough to have the proper reps at this point. And when he has, it hasn't been great. So, yeah, it's just unfortunate. And while I'm glad this isn't a serious injury, like initially thought maybe, it is still concerning because is it going to linger again? Is he going to miss more time? I mean, let's not act like he's just coming off the surgery. Like it was a thing back in 2023. So it's not like it was just last year. Like, so I am concerned a little bit. Like, long term, he can't even hold up in the short term. How the heck's he going to hold up in the long term? I'm nervous about that. I'll say that.
Well, guys, this year's basketball playoffs are leaning towards crowning a new champion. Both these teams, the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder, with an opportunity here to win their first championship in franchise history. Obviously, you know who we're going for with the Indiana Pacers, but don't miss your chance to cash in on history with Prize Pick. Pick more or less on a player's stats like points, rebounds, assists, and more for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So, for example, you think Tyrese Halliburton's going to get more than 25 points? You think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to get more than 30 points? Cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this basketball season when you and your crew run your game on Prize Picks. So, guys, as you see here, there's some options here for Prize Picks. For me, when I'm looking at this, for this week on Prize Picks as we start the NBA Finals on Thursday. As we look at this, I think I am definitely going to hit the over for Tyrese Halliburton for 17.5 points. Gilgeous-Alexander, that'll be an interesting one too. I could see him scoring right around there. So I'll probably go slightly less on that one. Siakam, I think, definitely is a guy that I'm going to hammer the more on. And then when you move down a little bit into some of the other options here, Tyrese, with 32 points, rebounds, and assists, that's pretty easy for me. I mean, the dude is a walking double-double about every single time. And as you continue to go down, there's a lot of options here for the Indiana Pacers. I think Pascal Siakam also could have 6 rebounds pretty easily as well. Miles Turner only 5. I mean, come on, that's a steal right there. So that's just an example, guys, of a few things you can do on Prize Picks, and those are some of the picks that I'm going to make. I think I'm definitely going to lock in Tyrese for over 17.5, and I'll probably honestly lock in as well Tyrese for the points, rebounds, and assists at 32. So definitely really feeling confident in Tyrese Halliburton. I think if I had to do one more, I'd probably go back up to Pascal Siakam at 19.5, because at the minimum in the last series, I think his minimum was about 17 points. And he had multiple 30-point games. So I'm going to hammer the over there for Pascal Siakam as well at 19.5 points. So, guys, it's just a few examples, and you guys definitely have the opportunity to choose yourself and make some of these picks on your own. So download the app today and use the code JUICE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That code again is JUICE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Yeah, and I like I said, I know this isn't an injury update video, but for anyone that is also concerned about the Michael Pittman thing, just a bone bruise from what it sounded like. 2 players making knee contact. That always sucks.
Crazy, because this is the second year in a row that's happened to Pittman where he goes down.
It has. You're right. It's the second time in OTAs where he has had contact with another player, and it ended up sidelining him for a small amount of time. He won't do anything during minicamp, which is obvious. Probably shouldn't. But they said he's going to be full go for training camp. So no issues there. It is what it is, but definitely a concern for Anthony Richardson. Again, we will continue to keep you guys updated. I said we would keep you guys updated when we got more information, and obviously as things move on, we will definitely keep you informed. But let us know your guys' thoughts on Richardson, sounding like he might actually be ready for training camp at the start. But that'll do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and as always, go Colts.